Hi, I'm Momtaz. Welcome to Hello Hue, the show where I chat to chromatic characters about the joy of colour. So if you're a fellow colour lover, then Hello Hue is for you. So today is super exciting. I am chatting to the rainbow artist Sarah Coey. Now, I have to say, I don't need an excuse to wear rainbows, but it had to happen today because her work really is rainbow-tastic and just so joyful. So welcome, Sarah.
Hi, it's so lovely to be here. I'm so excited.
Well, you know what? There's nothing more joyful than looking at your paintings. I find myself sometimes just scrolling through your feed just to get this vibrant energy from you. How would you actually describe your signature aesthetic?
Definitely colourful. Definitely colourful. Um, when I paint, I try and make sure that I am capturing things that are happy and joyful and lots of bright colours because people feel energized when they look at them. So that's what I go for when I'm working.
And can you like sort of pinpoint a time when you realize you have this real appreciation for color, and that you wanted to share it in your artwork?
Do you know, I have always loved colour, always. And then I went to university, and when I was at art school, I actually drew in black and white for 3 years.
Oh,
And when I got to my third year, I was just so bored of the black and white. I was so bored with it. But when I was at art school, they had this very kind of snooty idea that, anything that was colourful was quite childish. And so I wanted to get really good grades. And I was like, yes, colour is, totally so childish. I loved colour, but I wanted to graduate. So I was just like, oh, well, better actually do what they want. And when I did graduate, when I finally left and I had freedom to do what I wanted again, I found myself just gravitating back towards all of my colours and looking at ways that I could create colorfully, but making sure that it was actually like fine art as well. I wanted to be arty without it looking, silly or childish or kind of primary school colors. So actually I would say that I've probably only really like polished what I'm doing for like maybe the last 5 6 years, because before that it was black and white the whole way.
I have to say, I'm super surprised by that because
Yeah.
your work, it is incredibly polished. You've got such a distinct style. Someone sees your work and we know it's yours. There's
Mhm.
definitely these sort of like similar threads that go through it. But it seems to me like is every piece completely different?
Oh, definitely. I try not to have pieces that are too similar. There definitely are elements that are similar in terms of markings or maybe in terms of color schemes or even how I've approached the painting. Some of them I approach in different ways. But I always try and make sure that every single piece is completely unique. I think that's really important. I really like things to be individual and I really value individuality. So having that aspect running through each painting is really important to me.
So, just like me, I know you're a firm believer that colour and mood are definitely linked. So, what does it feel like when you actually sit down to start a new painting? Is there a different mood that you have at the beginning? Does it start to change as more colours come on your canvas?
Do you know, I try not to plan too much ahead whenever I'm working. I really try to just let myself, I'm going to sound so arty farty now. I try and let myself just be in the moment. I try and let myself just be and like feel what I want to do that day. I actually find that my color schemes are very much influenced by the seasons. I find that they tend to vary very drastically between each season. So at the moment we're in autumn and I'm doing a painting in my studio at the moment for myself. It's for nobody. I don't have a buyer. I just wanted to create something. And I deliberately chose like lots of bright reds and oranges and yellows. It looks like the way I'm putting the markings down, it looks like leaves falling. And that's really good fun for me to do. Like that's really exciting. Um, Particularly because I don't like to plan. I just want to sort of let my painting be influenced by what's going on around me. And I think that that's really good fun because when I look back at what I've created over the year, I'll find that it's different every time. So something I created in summer is totally different than what I've created in winter.
I love that on top of your commissions that you still take time to make artwork for yourself. I mean, that is a really special thing to be able to do, because I know a lot of artists, they, as you say, just end up doing things for other people. And then when it comes to what they actually truly want to do, it's not
Mm.
always possible. So that's so nice to hear. Now, I know you live in rural Scotland. And
Yes.
so, the Scottish landscapes are stunning, and you must be surrounded by incredible colours in nature. So, do you think that feeds into your work and, how you kind of visualize things?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think it does. I live right beside the Ochil Hills, and my view from my living room window are these huge hills. They're absolutely ginormous and they're beautiful. And it's wonderful because I can look outside and you can actually tell how far away the weather is just based on what's coming over the hill. So if I've got a cloud sitting over that hill, I've got about 5 minutes before it starts raining. And I think that that's wonderful. I think that everything here is very changeable. The weather's changeable. You can have all 4 seasons in one day. Your colors can change. You can have, I mean, we had loads of fog first thing this morning. So everything was like really cold and misty, lots of like really cool colors. And now I've got bright blue skies, beautiful leaves. It's gorgeous. It's constant changing inspiration. I think that's magical.
Now, I mentioned your Instagram account earlier on and how joyful it is. And what's really exciting is that recently you've started using, the new Reels function.
I love
And you're sort of putting music and soundtrack to your art, which just gives them a whole new dimension. So when you're actually painting and creating, this rainbow art, are you actually listening to music as you're doing it?
Oh, definitely. I love painting to music. I actually have like a playlist on Spotify. I'm pretty sure I've left it public. But it's one that I have and I just alter it every now and again. I add new bits and pieces so you can listen to what I'm listening to in my studio. And I love it. Music is so great. I try and choose really energetic music whenever I'm starting a painting. I feel like that's where you get a lot of the momentum and energy from. There's no way I can create this like huge energetic piece if I'm listening to, Enya and I'm trying to chill out. It doesn't work. But I love music to listen to when I'm working. And I think it's really nice because when I do my reels, I deliberately try and choose pieces of music that I think work well with what the piece looks like. Either it reminds me of something, or I think it's really chilled out, or whatever it is. I try and link them together. I love reels though. Such a cool function.
Makes sort of sharing art like so accessible as well, because we just get these little glimpses into new things we might not have seen before. So it is definitely a really, really nice idea. And obviously we see your flat pictures, but now we can see them, I guess, in 3D. We sort of see that movement
Yes.
of the different elements. Some of your paint strokes do actually look quite 3D, are they? Sort of quite textured.
Yes, some of them really are. I love textured paint. Oil paint is best to do that with. And at the moment where we stay, I just don't have good enough ventilation in my studio to do oil paints. One day. But at the moment, I'm using acrylics, and there are some amazing kind of mediums that you can apply to them to make them really thick. And when you add them on, you can get this real lump of paint on the canvas, and it's beautiful. It just adds a different dimension. You don't want your painting to be too flat. You want it to have different aspects and energies to it. So I think that's great when you can add different texture like that.
You are the first pregnant guest I've had on the show, so I'm really intrigued. I've got this question for you, and I have no idea what the answer is going to be. But since being pregnant, have you found any different connection to colour? I don't know if that's a thing, but I was wondering if you've maybe different senses, or maybe you're seeing colour differently. Is there anything like that going on, or has that happened to you before with your first child?
With my first pregnancy, I was more inspired then than I have ever been. I was painting every single day. I had a new painting started and finished within the day. And I have never felt like that before or since. Like, it was incredible. And it's definitely influenced an awful lot of how I work now. This time around, things are slightly different because I have a very energetic toddler running around who needs a lot of time and attention. But this time around, I have definitely noticed I wouldn't say it's necessarily like inspiration, but I've definitely noticed a shift. I deliberately stopped doing commissions earlier this year than I usually would, because I knew, one, I knew I would be tired, and two, I actually just wanted to have the freedom to do what I wanted and create what I wanted without any kind of time constraints. And it's been really interesting because the first couple of times I sat down to paint, I thought, oh my lord, like I don't even know what I want to paint, and what colors am I going to use, and what am I going to do? This is a disaster. But within 2 to 3 sittings, I was doing things that were completely new. So not necessarily colors, but just like in terms of technique, how I was applying the paint and what I was looking to explore. And that's been so exciting. I found that with each pregnancy, it's pushed my creativity in a different way. So with my first one, it was very much color and movement and inspiration. Everything sort of came together. But with this one, it's very much more creatively experimental. And that's so much fun. It's nice to see your work going in a totally different direction. I'm loving it.
And I love that you have that sort of space and you're using this kind of maternity time to actually explore and experiment. It's really fun. And obviously you have got that young toddler. Are you finding that they also are drawn to colour, and do they have a sort of inkling for painting, having seen you and witnessed you do being a painter?
Oh, my son, he absolutely loves painting, absolutely loves colouring. Anytime we're in the post office have this section of stationery whenever you're queuing up, and he just sits there and is just mesmerised by all these like rainbow coloured markers. And every time he's in there, he's pointing at the pencils, he's pointing at the pens, desperate to get a hold of any kind of creative things. We actually did some kind of pouring paint activities for him recently, and he made all these like huge like marbled paint splodges, I would call them, on big sheets of paper, and he absolutely loved it. He's so drawn to it. Red is his favourite colour though. He absolutely loves red, anything red.
Oh, that is so brilliant to hear. I love that. He's like a rainbow hunter like me, just goes out and just gets drawn to colour wherever it is. Now, colour obviously plays a massive role. It is, it defines your art. Do you find that you've got a sort of connection to colour in other aspects of your life as well?
Yes, actually I do. I like a lot of bright colors to wear. You would never know it with what I'm wearing at the moment. I'm limited to maternity clothes, and they seem to think that people who are pregnant want to live in black and white. Um, but normally whenever it comes to my clothes, I live for bright colors. And that's so much fun. It's so much fun to express yourself with what you're wearing and with bright colors. Everyone feels better when they're wearing something that makes them feel happy. And for me, that is something bright and cheerful, which I love. I also really like interior design. I have so many ideas. We're hoping to sell our house. Oh man, we were hoping to sell it this year, and then that went out the window.
Yeah.
So everything at the moment you can see in the background is like a bit beige and boring. But when I have the freedom to do what I want within my own space and to paint it, not to sell it, but to paint it for myself, oh my goodness, I want like the most colourful, bright house ever. I can't wait. My Pinterest boards are full of ideas.
And I think that we can't wait to see some pictures from that as well. Now, you do have, as I say, like this very strong aesthetic. We know it's your work, and you are doing some experimenting. Do you think that we'll start to see, your work changing? Can you feel that you might be moving into any, new sort of aesthetics anytime soon? Or are you still kind of happy with the sort of visuals that you're creating at the moment?
Tend to find that I naturally have a very kind of fluid shift through my paintings. So I'll start one and I'll look at it and I think, oh, I really like that aspect of it. I'm going to do that again in this painting. And then I'll change something ever so slightly. And I start to naturally find that the pieces develop. In the last year, they have become a lot more energetic and wild, I think, than they used to be. I used to paint and it was purely all about focusing on the color, and I had lots of like kind of calming, smooth brush strokes. Whereas recently I found that all I want to do is it's pure energy. That's what I'm trying to capture at the moment, is energy. And I think it's quite good fun to, as I say, like I don't plan really what I paint. I think it's quite good fun to sort of see naturally where things go, because every now and again I will paint a piece and I look at it and go, that one was a turning point, that one was a turning point. So the one I'm painting at the moment, it's a turning point piece. I know it's a turning point. I'm looking at it, and I've painted it and applied the work in a totally different way than I usually would. But I love how that's starting to come across. And I think that's really exciting to then look at it at the end and think, where's this going to take me next? I love that. I think that that's just so exciting.
That definitely sounds like one of the most exciting parts of being an artist, to always be discovering things and, sort of, changing the things that you do. Really, really exciting. It's been such a pleasure chatting to you, Sarah.
It's been so lovely to be here.
love this idea of you being the rainbow artist. It's so wonderful. Do you actually get many sort of real rainbows where you live, where you see the hills and you see that sort of weathering changing?
Do you know, now and again, but mostly where I live, because I live on one side of the hills, the Oak Hills are on the other, and then there's like the valley in between. So whenever we get rainbows, we tend not to get like one bright one. We tend to get like 3 or 4, and they're really kind of faint and hazy. And I actually love that. I think that's really magical. Like, yeah, it's like little prisms of glass. It's beautiful.
Oh, that sounds absolutely stunning. Well, I wish you all the best with your future creations and becoming a mum again. Really, really exciting times. And keep my fingers crossed when you can get your colour palettes together as well.
I know, my goodness, I will have all of the colour in the house.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.